Can I use a HELOC to buy rental property? Yes, you can. Is it a great idea? Not always. And let me tell you why. It depends on where you're pulling the HELOC. And a HELOC is a home equity line of credit, right? Now, if it's a business line of credit, it's a little bit different. So let me break them down a little bit for you. If it's a home equity line of credit and it's your home that you're living in, it's your primary residence, that's a little bit different. The reason why is I personally don't like to think as my investment as my home, or my home as an investment. So I know that's a different school of thought, but if it's a rental property, maybe if it's property number 2, 3, or 4, or whatever, that's a little bit safer for me. That's a little bit different. I don't like to get my investments mixed up with my home, with my residence. And the goal is to pay off your house and live debt-free. Well, an investment is never made to be paid off. If you think about it, it's made to keep money coming in. That's why I don't like to mix the two. Now, let's say you don't want to listen to that, you want to do it anyway. Hey, that's fantastic. If you're pulling out an equity line of credit and then you're buying a rental property, you better make sure it cash flows. If you're making payments out of pocket, that is not a good deal. It's got to cash flow. Even if you have visions down the road where you're going to fix it up and you're going to do this, I almost always tell you not to do it, only because it's too risky. Too many things can go wrong. Unless you know what you're doing. If it's your first or second one, probably don't want to do that. Now, if it's an investment property, the difference is if you're pulling equity lines from your investment property, your rental, you're probably not going to be able to get as much money. So your LTV, your loan to value, probably won't go above 80% or something. And your rates aren't going to be as good. So it kind of puts you in a little catch-22 here. You got higher rates, and now you have to cash flow off this property number 1, number 2, whatever it is. You want to be very, very careful. What's happening now, what you're going to see happening a lot more, is home equity lines of credit are going to be big because people don't want to jeopardize their 3%, 2% interest rates that they have on their primary residence. So how else can they tap into that equity? Really, home equity line is the way to go. Be very careful on what you use this money on. If you're going to put this money out and you're going to be cash flowing day one, I like the sound of that a lot. And it just depends on how you structure it, because you only pay money on an equity line if you use it. So if the money's just sitting there and you haven't used it, that's fine. It's a great idea. Just wait to what you want to do with it. So it's not a bad idea to open the line up and pay the maybe $200 fee a year or whatever it is for some people. It doesn't mean you have to use the money. Just keep cash available. So it may be another investment you see down the road. So keep that in mind, but definitely try to be careful, not so much of the rates, just be careful of the deal you're getting into, because you don't want one deal to jeopardize your other deal, because you're still going to have to make payments on it. So whatever cash flow you make has to be enough cash flow to pay down your equity line. So if you're borrowing $100,000 and your payments are $800 a month, well, if you're only cash flowing $200 from that deal, that's not a great deal, because your play is, I'm going to wait for the appreciation. So now you're going to take a negative cash flow of $600 a month for 3 years or 4 years. I don't know, unless you're sitting on a pile of cash, you really want to be careful of that. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know.